everybody, and welcome to episode 130 of the Let's Play world. Today, as promised, we're going to spend some time on a goat horn farm. But first, there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is I am making this episode on a new computer, and I have not gotten the monitors dialed in yet. So the colors and the shadows and everything look really wrong. The shadows are super dark and the whites are really blown out. I need to get those dialed in. But I've been really impressed with the performance. You'll notice as I fly out, the fog just kind of recedes in a really smooth way. Like there's not a lot of chunk borders showing or anything. Pretty impressive. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about was this Blackstone tower we started working on down at the base of our base here. I was thinking it would probably make sense if the Blackstone continued through the center of our base, right? And then wouldn't it be kind of cool if it sort of gradiated out? So we'd have this Blackstone center and then maybe some deep slate that would then trickle into the lighter normal stone. I think that would be kind of a cool look. The other thing I was playing around with upstairs, I was starting to figure out the shape of this room and doing a little bit of playing up here. Still a lot of work to do yet. But yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about using more deep slate inside, because the plan was for the exterior of the base to all be deep slate, but it might look kind of nice to blend it in. The other thing I was playing with here is I was imagining this shape, the shape of our balcony. If we just kind of stood it up and put that shape here, that would be a really nice looking door, I think. So some stuff to play with there. Also, I was playing a little bit downstairs because I was thinking if this is going to be Blackstone, then I suppose this would be Blackstone. And we'll have to figure that out. Put some signs up so that looks nice and official. That's pretty much all I did in here. Maybe we'll do a little bit more work in here, but the first thing I want to work on today is that goat horn farm. And I think I want to build the goat horn farm over by the lodge. As we fly over here, you're going to notice there's a couple of caves in the side of the mountain. Let's see. One right over there, kind of a little cave. And then as we approach the lodge, down to our left, the big old cave right here. And I think that big old cave is where I want to put the goat horn farm. I figure we could build a little bit of a path down there and then kind of seal it up and build the goat horn farm in front of it. There is a lot of powdered snow around here, so having a proper path down to the goat horn farm, I think that would be really nice. And then that cave always has a lot of mobs in it, so sealing it up with like a fake cliff face, I think that would be kind of cool, and then we could build the goat horn farm in front of it. That's the plan. So I'm going to grab some materials, and then we are going to get to work. Okay, I've got my construction box, I've got my rail stuff, I've got my redstone stuff, and I've got some materials. A lot of stone, some oak, a few frog lights, a boat, some chests, and a hoe. And I think this will be enough to get us started. We're going to head back over in this direction, and I think the first thing I want to do is create a little bit of a path. Not a finalized, finished path, but just a serviceable path so we can get back and forth between the lodge and the farm. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is just use some cobblestone to kind of sketch out a little bit of a path here. Figure out how steep it's going to be, how long it's going to be, all of that. It's pretty flat here, but then it gets really steep really quick. There's a little bit of a jump here in elevation, and then, yeah, you can see it jumps kind of way down to there. Let's cut down some of these trees and see if we can figure that out. The sound of the snow breaking when the leaves disappear is funny. There's a weird lighting glitch there. Okay, so we're going to come down here from the lodge. We'll walk down a nice path like this that'll slowly curve this way. There'll be a little bit of a drop here down to about this level. Right here, I think, is where the farm is going to be. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to seal up this cave here and maybe flatten out the land a little bit here as well. There we have a nice looking cliff, and the next thing I'm going to do is figure out the shape of the building. There's two things I want to happen here. One is I want there to be a place to keep the goats, and then I also want kind of a little mini wheat farm in here. The sad fact of a goat horn farm is a goat can only drop 2 horns, and so we'll need to make more goats. So that's why I want the wheat. And I think what's going to happen here is I'm going to have this little kind of lure so that the goats will want to ram an entity, and then under the floor we'll have some minecarts to pick up the drops. And then over here, like I said, just a little itty bitty wheat farm, and that should be all there is to it. Okay, a little bit of an update here. So this is going to be our front door, and we're going to walk in, and there will be a little area here that'll just kind of be a landing, and we'll probably have a fence right about here, and this is where the goats will be and all the goat horn collection and all that. I decided to do the little wheat farm along the back side of the building because from out here, I think it'll look better. I'd like this to look a little bit like maybe like a log cabin, a little peaked roof and all that. And then where the goats are, we'll kind of have a flat roof. So it'll be a little bit more of like a shed over there. And we'll probably work in oak logs and maybe stone bricks. So the way this is going to work is we're going to have a mob kind of parked right here so that the goats can see it. And any mob, any entity, goats have a chance of wanting to ram. And so what will happen is the goats will see this mob sitting here and will want to ram it. And then at this level, we're going to have logs. And the way that it works is goats, when they charge and hit a natural block, and that can be stone, it can be a log, it can be ice, they have a chance of dropping their horn. So theoretically, we're going to have a bunch of goats. They're going to see a mob. They're going to want to charge it. Because of the way their hitboxes interact, they won't actually hit the mob. They'll hit the logs, drop their horns, and we'll have a minecart going back and forth here, picking up those horns. And then I think I want the collection area to be just right over here. We'll have a chest, and the minecart will come along and somehow put the goat horns in this chest over here. I've now got the minecart going back and forth, and then it runs across here, climbs up a little bit to this little contraption here. And all that this is a hopper that is draining into a chest. And this is just one of those unloading systems like I've built before, but it's sort of built crooked. So the rail runs into this block before turning around. This was a little too steep for it to make it up this high, so I had to kind of come out one block. And there's one more hopper under here. So when the minecart gets up here, it'll unload into this hopper, which unloads into this hopper, which unloads into the chest. And then over here, what's going on is a comparator is watching the hopper, powering this block. There's a torch on the side, which then powers some dust. which powers the rail. So if there's anything in the chest, the comparator senses that, unpowers this block. It'll just sit there and drain, and then sends it back on its way. Normally when I build these, the torch would be here, powering a block, and then where this block is, there would be a repeater powering this, and then powering the rail. So it's the same circuit, it's just L-shaped rather than straight. And I did that because I didn't want the circuit to poke out past the front of the building. So next thing I need to do here is get all the floors in and then figure out what the building is going to look like. I'm hoping that this zigzag pattern here creates kind of a log cabin look, like the logs are stacked in different directions. I was considering going oak, spruce, but I was afraid it would look too stripy, so we're going to go with this and see how it turns out. Okay, it is starting to look like a cabin. I might put a little bit of oak stairs up there just to give it some wear, you know, like it's some worn tiles on it and that kind of thing, just to break it up. And back here, where we're going to do the little farm, I'm going to just do stone on the wall and the ceiling here. And then I've got a waterlogged stair on either side because this needs water, and I don't think waterlogged blocks can freeze. So that should keep the farm hydrated without turning into ice. I think the area where the goats are going to be kept, I'm just going to use oak planks. It's kind of like a plain kind of wooden enclosure. And then we'll put a flat roof on it so that it feels more like a shed or an outbuilding or something like that. So just a couple more things to do. I need to turn this into farmland and plant some seeds. I need to get our lure mob in place so that it's ready. And I need to go get the goats. To lure the goats in, we're going to use a boat, and we're going to put a couple of chickens in this boat. Okay, let's see if we can get a couple chickens here. There's one. There's two. And then let's see if I can get them to go into a boat. Okay, there's one. There we go. Awesome. And then just above the chickens here, I'm going to put some logs. And that way, when the goats want to ram into these chickens, they're going to hit the logs. That's the plan anyway. Okay, I'm going to clean up a little bit, and then we're going to go get the goats, see if this thing works. There's our goats. I've got the right boots on here. Okay. Okay. There's our goats. I'm going to get out of this room here, see what happens. Oh, there's one. Dang, that was fast. So we check over here. Look at that. We got us a goat horn. That's pretty awesome. Now that the farm is done, let's see if we can do something with this path up to the lodge. I'm just trying to do something real organic and kind of following the hillside. And I'll probably come back over it and massage it a little bit and maybe replace some of this with cobble just to give it a little bit more of a worn look. But I'm just going to keep working on that and see how it goes. So now when we walk out of the lodge, we have this nice path that goes down here. Mostly stone with a little bit of cobble, some andesite, some other things there. It'd be nice to put some mossy stone in here, I think. Lights. I put lanterns on either side. We'll see how these go. I want it to kind of keep the path from getting too snowed over, but if this starts melting too much out here, we might try something different. And you can see it just sort of follows the curve of the mountain down to our goat horn farm. And inside here, yep, we got some goat horns. So a goat will only drop one type of horn. So you can see we've got 2 ponder and 2 feel. Feel is this one here. And apparently we have made an egg farm as well. The chickens must be laying eggs and the cart is just close enough to pick those up. We did some good work today, and I think that's where I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had fun. Please like and subscribe if you want to follow along on the adventure, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.